Well, I just walked out of the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Library, and I'm shooting this video again. I tried something yesterday. I don't think it worked out. I'm still trying to figure out how this whole iPod thing works. So I'll get it right sooner or later. But anyway, I just left the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Library. You see the picture of MLK Jr. in a green hue right there. And anyway, I should say that the buses that take the homeless men away from downtown to shelters that are on the outskirts of town come out here to this very area that I'm walking around. And in a minute I will go in front of a structure that is about 30 feet long. It is a wooden structure that was built over top of some sidewalk grates. And the reason it was built over top of the sidewalk grates is because there's a construction project going on nearby, and it was to ensure that no debris falls into the grate, into the grill. However, this particular grate is, like I say, about 30 feet long, and the wooden structure that was built to protect it from the construction debris is about 7 feet high. It's big enough for somebody to stand up in. And I found out just last night that a particular homeless man has taken up residence there. I mean, he's got a small house set up there. And as I pass by the structure, I will just let you see it, and hope not to disturb him. But at any rate, his structure is right in front of the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Library. Here I am doing this at night again. I should probably come by during the day sometime, but that building right in front of you is Catholic Charities. Catholic Charities manages many of the shelters here in Washington, D.C. And Catholic Charities is right across the road from the MLK Jr. Library. Now, as it turns out, when the shelters close at 7 a.m., many of the homeless come down to the library. So the library becomes a de facto day shelter. So you have the people who manage the actual shelters on one side of G Street in Northwest Washington, D.C., and you have the de facto day shelter on the other side. So that is rather interesting. And I referenced this construction site, which is next to the library. And as it turns out, the construction site is a church that's being rebuilt. The old church building was torn down, and a new one is going up. And as it turns out, that church used to be the location of the homeless feeding program, which is now known as Thrive DC. At that time, it was still called the Dinner Program for Homeless Women, but it had begun to feed breakfast, and it had begun to feed men. And so they eventually changed the name from the Dinner Program for Homeless Women to Thrive DC. But that program used to be located in the basement of the First Congregational Church of Christ. And that church was torn down. It has now been rebuilt. It's still under construction. And I don't think that the homeless feeding program is going to return there. That homeless feeding program has moved twice since that building was torn down. It moved to another church at First Trinity Lutheran Church at 4th and E Streets Northwest, and then it moved about 4 miles away from there up into the Mount Pleasant neighborhood of Washington, D.C. It is now in the basement of the St. Stephen's Church. So it keeps going from church basement to church basement. Hey, listen. So, anyway, here is our lovely makeshift home, which I'm about to show you. Oh, and by the way, that van is the hypothermia hotline van. And a homeless person can call 1-800-535-7252, and the hypothermia hotline van will come out and get them, but they only operate after 7 p.m. Now, so anytime that any homeless person comes to Washington, D.C. and they don't know how to get around to the different shelters, just have them call 1-800-535-7252, and that van that is in front of me will show up to pick them up. Okay, so, and I will give you a up close picture of the logo. Alright, and of the number. Alright, so let's take a nice wide shot of the area here. I'm facing west, and now I'm turning clockwise, showing you the building under construction, showing you Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Library, facing toward the Verizon Center where the Magic play, facing south now toward Catholic Charities. And now I need to put this away so that I can call and speak to a lady friend of mine. Okay.